A move to help try to revive Playland Park and rescue it from its own legal problems, let alone all the red tape and also red ink that it runs every year, has hit yet another roadblock this week. Nonprofit group Sustainable Playland announced it will not participate in a county review of the project. And the group says too many issues have been left unresolved. And County Legislator Ken Jenkins, he's filed a lawsuit saying that Astorino, the county exec, did not have the authority to select it to spearhead the project without legislative approval. Okay, at the end of the day, Andrew, we've covered this issue.
A few times.
This is, I mean, for people, the only county-run amusement park in the country. You literally had incidents. 3 people in 3 different years, in 3 successive years, died at the park. The county was investigating itself. They lose money every year. 3/4 of the people coming there don't even come from the county. It's one headache after another. I've heard all the words here, but it seems 5 years after the county executive said otherwise, same old, same old.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was trying to come up with a business model that would help Playland make money. I mean, at one point, like, all the concession sales were sent out of the, they weren't being run by the park, but they were being brought in and franchised. It doesn't seem like there's any way that the thing is making money, and it does seem like it's been something of a boondoggle since the county came to control of the whole thing. I guess the question that people have to ask is it enough of an asset that it makes the county distinct for having it? I mean, it's a small amusement park, and it's not. You and I
like
obviously
you can't even give the thing away. It's just, I could spend an hour getting in how poorly run the place is, how screwed up it is. But at the end of the day, it's just so frustrating. They can never get out of their own way on this thing. All right, we talked about the environment before. The one thing with all the budget announcements I've heard that I didn't hear anything about was fracking. A year and a half ago, the governor said, you know what, he was going to do the Blue Ribbon Commission, we'll get the answer, and he's going to make a declarative statement whether or not he was for it. Well, I'm still waiting for an answer. Do I read the silence that it's deafening and that he's not going to do anything with this?
He's not going to do anything right now, and probably not
for the next,
probably for after, definitely for after the election. Yeah, you have a couple of things politically at play here. You have the environmental groups that have been very, very aggressive in going to every event that Cuomo's at around the state. As you know, he was actually on Long Island just recently, and there were 100 people picketing at a fundraiser. And you don't hear much from the other side. And I think also one of the issues at play here is the industry itself is doing very well in other states, like in Pennsylvania, in West Virginia, in Ohio. New York is not so much where they're focused right now, so they've sort of detracted a bit from really pushing the governor. So he's in a position now where he could basically say, nobody really wants it right now. I'm not getting enough push for people to tell me that we should have it, so I'm just going to hold back.
You know, I'm one of those people who's conflicted on the issue, but if I had to pick one or the other, I'm with the opponents only because there seem to be some very fair questions that were asked about fracking that still haven't been answered. Like, what's in the stuff that they're shooting in to try and extract it? We haven't even gotten the clarity on what is actually in there. There seem to be legitimate, fair questions. I know some people are opposed to it universally. Sure. I'm not in that camp, but I do think it's fair to at least get some clarity, or at least, you know, a little bit of transparency what's going on. We haven't gotten that.
Well, still. I think it's a misnomer. And if you can go to something called fracfocus.org, which is a nonprofit entity that's, you know, they're out there. They'll show you in Pennsylvania, for instance, every single well that's drilled and every chemical that's in it. And all the chemicals that are in fracking, which is 5% are chemicals, the rest is water and sand. It's household, it's bleach, it's different types of things that you put in a pool.
We did go up to Pennsylvania, and we didn't exactly see unanimity of the folks there is that they knew exactly what was going on.
We've gotten to a place in this debate where, and I'm trying to be as impartial as I can on it, I don't know who to trust, and so I don't trust anybody. Nonprofits aside, who's funding that nonprofit? I have no idea. But I do know that there are a lot of questions about even things like earthquakes that are generated near fracking areas. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of good answer, and it seems like there's a lot of moneyed interest that have a vested interest in not being as forthcoming as they might otherwise be.
Hey, Dominic, just from an MO standpoint, I noticed with this issue, I noticed even with the education on the prison initiative issue, it seems that Governor Cuomo will throw out an idea. If it doesn't play well, never mind, like it never happened. It does seem to be how he operates a little bit. In effect, throw a quick thing out there almost like a poll test and if he doesn't like the results, it's almost like it never happened. A lot of people twisting in the wind.
Some say that's a smart politician, tossing those trial balloons out there to see whether or not they work. That's something that his father was known for, my recollection in covering his father as well, Democratic icon Mario Cuomo. Mr. Cuomo was like that, but I agree with the point that we're in this election year, and the point that you made, nothing controversial, and I mean nothing that's controversial will get resolved now.
Indian Point too. I haven't heard anybody been talking about that one, and relicensing coming up for that as well. Okay, when we come back, we will talk about some national politics. The president today took his argument for an increase in the minimum wage to the middle of America. The president said no one who works full-time ought to live in poverty. The question is $10 and 10 cents an hour the answer? Our panel will weigh in after this.